Am I live? This is gonna. There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry my Facebook wouldn't refresh, but I'm here now and I'm excited and I haven't done this in a while. So let me like get back in the groove of going live and doing these trainings because I've missed it. And it's one of the things we're going to talk about today is really getting into the feels of your business and following your intuition and doing the things that feel right and feel good and not just listening to talking heads and experts on the internet. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm excited y'all are here. If you're watching this live, I always love for you to use that comment box, okay? This is very much like me on a monologue, and I would love for it to be interactive. So if you have comments, if you have questions, if you have like an epiphany or some kind of download happening when I'm talking, please share it in the comments so we can all discuss, because that's why I'm here. I want to be the best resource that I can be for you. If you're watching on replay, same thing. I always come back and check the comments to make sure that I'm addressing anybody's questions, comments, the whole thing. So don't be shy. This is a two-way conversation between you and I, and that's what I do these for. So welcome. If you've never attended a free training with me before, my name is Erica Gregory. I am a business coach. I'm an entrepreneur, and my entire goal is to help people create businesses that are sustainable, but are not like your entire life. I want your life to be your life, and I want you to build a business that is supporting your life. Okay, so some highlights for me, just so that you can see that this is a possibility for you as well. I have 2 kids. I'm full-time mom. Like, if anybody asks me what I am, I'm a full-time mom first, entrepreneur second. My kids are with me majority of the time. I have Wednesdays where they go to grandma and grandpa's, and I have this day to basically work. I work probably less than 20 hours a week. I have made over $350,000 as a entrepreneur by myself in the last 4 years. I've had multiple 6-figure years in a row, and I'm doing this all by myself. I have an assistant. I love my assistant. She's been with me now for a few months, but up until then, it's been me. And so it's super possible for you to be doing the same thing. It's super possible for you to be working less hours than you are in a full-time 9-to-5 job and making more money. It's super possible for you to live a lifestyle that creates freedom and flexibility, whether it be wanting to be home with your children or traveling or whatever your heart's desire. It's super possible to do. The thing that I like to kind of put out there is that there is work involved, right? Like, I think we get into these Instagram coaches who are living this life, and they're 5, 6, 7 years into their journey, and they've done the work, and now they're just like put links out there, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers, or even tens of thousands of followers. They put a link out there, and in a day they're like, I've made blah 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 amount of money, right? And I think that's really great and something to aspire to. But I like to kind of put myself in the middle here. So I'm not that, but I'm not a beginner either. But I have kind of carved out this slice for myself where I'm maybe a step further than where you are in your journey. Maybe I'm making more money. Maybe I've been doing it longer. Maybe I have different strategies in how I'm doing it. But I'm not quite like to a place where you're seeing what I'm doing and you're finding it unattainable. I want to be as real as possible. This is who I am. This is how I've done it. And that's why I love doing these trainings for you. The other thing that I'm really excited about is for the past year or so, I've been doing trainings that have like essentially launched a program or launched something on the back end of that. And I got really sick and tired of doing that. Like, it was always so much pressure. And I felt like I was showing up in doing these trainings for like the wrong reasons. Now, don't get me wrong. That is a completely viable strategy. It works. But for me, there was something inside of me that was like, nah, I'm not really into it anymore. So I'm taking a completely different approach, and I'm going to be doing these trainings every so often. I haven't really decided the rhythm of them yet, but I'm going to be doing them more and more often just to train, just to help you learn something get a takeaway. Think of this as like a live podcast almost. Like I'm not just pitching you something on the back end of this. Truly today I'm just going to be talking about how you can learn to love to sell. So that's kind of the notes, the cliff notes of why we're here, why I'm here, how I got here, and all of the things. So welcome. Hi, Christy. On the way to a doctor appointment, but gonna listen. I'm glad you're here, and I'm so jealous of all the pictures I saw from your Taylor Swift experience. We have to touch base about that because oh, it looks so fun. And hi, Mary Louise. I'm excited you're here too. If you're here watching and you want to say hi, please put it in the comments. All right. So let's dive in. So the first thing I like to tell people, my clients, just anybody who is, hi Sam, you're at work multitasking. That's okay. We're women, as women, we are all really good at multitasking, I've found. So anyway, so selling is something that is really like, it's such an emotionally triggering thing for some people. And I'm here today to kind of help you shift your mindset around it. As entrepreneurs, the first thing that you are is a salesperson. Okay. The first thing that you are is you're selling. Okay. So when you understand that, it kind of puts you in this, hi Julie, it puts you in this mindset of like, okay, I am here to sell something. I'm here as a business person. I'm here to be an advocate for my services, for my product, whatever it is you're selling. Okay. It's funny because my dad, if you know anything about my dad, I've actually interviewed him in my membership before, and it was a really great interview. Maybe I should find that and put in my podcast. But anyway, my dad has been an entrepreneur for almost 40 years, nearly, I think maybe over 40 years. Yeah, over 40 years. Okay, so he's been running his own business his entire life. And in the business that he is, it's very strange. Okay, when I say this to people, they were like, oh, really? He designs headstones. So monuments that when somebody passes away, goes in the cemetery, he designs them. And this is just kind of the family business. My grandfather owned a grave digging business before he passed away last year. And my aunts and uncles all grew up like mowing cemeteries. Like this was a very normal thing for me and my sisters to be in cemeteries. But that's a story for another day. Anyway, as I grew up, I always looked at my dad as like a designer. He was designing headstones. And then one day as I got older, I asked him, I'm like, hi, Catherine. No, you're not. It's not strange for you. Catherine works in the funeral home industry. So we've bonded over our death industry like connections. But anyway, so I was asking my dad one day, I was like, well, Dad, like when people ask you what you do for work, like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a salesperson. I'm a salesman. And I was like, I've never in my life thought of him as a salesman. I've just never thought that. I always saw like what he was doing as his job. But then he kind of explained it to me and he's like, well, I have to be a salesperson. I have to sell in order to be able to then design. And it's so true for any industry that you're in. If you sell a product, you have to sell the product to then get the product out there to somebody, for somebody to use, right? You have to sell a service as a coach for then you to be able to coach. You have to sell a service to, maybe you're a fitness instructor. You have to sell the service for you to then guide somebody in their fitness journey. Whatever it is, the first step before you get to do what you do is the selling part, is the sales part. And so the first thing that I like to really break down in people is this barrier between how they view themselves and the selling process. I think a lot of the time too, a lot of people come up with excuses or reasons why they can't sell or why they don't like selling. I mean, even me early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I would always say I'm an introvert. I hate talking to people. And truly, I'm an introvert. This is coming from the girl who had her little sister call her high school boyfriend at home. This is before cell phones, right? I had my little sister call my high school boyfriend at home because I was so nervous to talk to his mom or like his dad. Like, God forbid his mom or dad answer. No, it was like I couldn't do it. So I had my little sister do it. I hate calling and ordering for pizza. I still have my husband do it. It is so uncomfortable for me. So you might be watching me like, and you might have been in my world a while and been like, how is she feeling comfortable talking to people? I don't know how I've gotten. I do know I've gotten to a place where I feel comfortable doing trainings and coaching and things like that. But believe me, it does not come natural. It does not come natural to me. So there's no excuse. But if you are going into business for yourself, you have to be comfortable with the idea of being a salesperson first. Now, even the word salesperson, even the word selling, sales, all of it has like a very negative connotation in our society. Like, even when I say the word salesperson, it just automatically, I have this vision of like this sleazy car salesperson. Like, you drive onto the lot. God forbid you just drive onto the lot and like three of them just like beeline for you. Hi, like what are you looking for? Blah 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 blah. And they don't even give you a second to breathe, let alone think about the investment that you're making. I get it. We've all experienced poor sales tactics in our lives. And I think that first and foremost is the reason why we have this resistance to being salespeople. Like, salespeople are kind of pushy. Like the people who we think of as salespeople in society, car salesmen, insurance salespeople, like those people are kind of pushy. And so we automatically associate any type of sales with them. Okay. But today, I really want to start helping you think differently about how you can approach selling. Okay. How I've gotten from a place of I can't even call for pizza to a place where I can feel really comfortable and have a lot of fun during the process. Exactly. I think some of the words pushy, tricky, dishonest, like those are very much associated with sales, right? And so it's like when I talk to somebody, I'm like, how are your sales? How are you doing with sales? Like what's your sales process? And they immediately are like, it's not good. It's because they don't want to be associated with these words that Catherine just put in the comment box. They don't want to be seen as pushy. They don't want to be seen as tricky. They don't want to be seen as dishonest. There's even another layer where there's money, there's finances involved, right? So it's an uncomfortable thing to say, can I have your money, right? Like I'm making money off of you, and there's like a very like weird thing going on, the weird energy around that. But the point is that we all have our weird things around selling. And for us to learn how to love to sell means that we get to have a really good, fun time with it. It may mean that you make more money. It may mean that you don't make more money, but I just don't want you to feel this resistance around it anymore, because it does get to be fun and it does get to be helpful. So the first thing I want to just put out there in order to help you shift your thought process around sales is that you have a service or a product, whatever you are selling, you have a service or a product that in theory will help someone, okay? And so you've probably all heard this on some level, just to kind of dispel these myths and beliefs around selling. But I really want you to hear this one today. You have a service or a product that will solve a problem for somebody. Whatever that service or product is will solve a problem that people have, okay? And if you don't have a product or a service that solves a problem, then we need to rethink some things, okay? It doesn't mean that you're wrong or that you're whatever. It just may mean that like maybe your messaging needs some adjusting. But at the end of the day, even if your thing is meant to just entertain someone, maybe it doesn't solve a problem, but it like entertain someone. There is some kind of solution-based messaging that you can put out there to someone. But let's really hone in on this for a second. If you have something that can potentially help somebody, whether it make their life easier, whether it make them more money, whether it's just a comfort thing or an entertainment thing or whatever, like you have something that can help someone, you have a service, you have a right, or you have a obligation to put it out there in the world for someone to then say, yes, I would spend money on having this problem solved for me, right? You have an obligation, because really we're all just in this age of how can I do it easier? How can this be done easier for me? How can it be done faster, easier, more simply? I want less friction in my life. help me solve this problem. And if you have something that will potentially help somebody else, then you have an obligation to put it out there. You don't have an obligation to set to like have somebody like pay for you. That's not on you, but you do have an obligation to at least get it out there and spread the word about it, because then the obligation flips onto the person purchasing it, and they get to decide, is this something that I'm willing to pay for or not? But at that point, that's beyond your control, so it doesn't matter. Your only thing that you should worry about that is in your control is that you are putting your best foot forward, you are advocating for the service or product that you are selling, and that you are spreading the message about it, because people are willing to buy something that will solve a problem for them. People are willing to buy something that will entertain them, that will make their life easier, that will help them get where they are going quicker. They will do that. And so you have to be able to become confident in yourself and comfortable with the idea that you now have to get to put it out there. Okay. And that's a whole other like ball of wax, right? Is that you get to put it out there. You have a right. You can have a really thriving business doing something that's really fun. And like, how fun is it for you to do something, make a living based on something that you've created? Like, that's so freaking cool. And so we get into this thought process around like, well, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to come off as like, I just want to make money, blah, 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 blah. Well, you have a privilege here, especially here in this country, to make money and to like make a living. If we went over to a third world country and we gave them the opportunity to become entrepreneurs and to teach them marketing and sales and blah, 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 and give them and teach them everything they needed to know in order to make money to support themselves and their family, do you think for a second that those people would be like, no, I don't know, like, I don't want to be? Hell no. They would jump at the opportunity to be able to do this. So if you have an idea, if you have a business that you're just kind of playing with, but you're really just awkward around the sales, think about the perception or the perspective you could have if you were not in the United States of America, if you were not in this privileged country, if you were in a third world country and you had the opportunity to better yourself, you would jump at it. And it's the same thing with moms and mom guilt. I remember listening, I don't know if it was a book or I was listening to a podcast, but this one thing just stuck with me and it changed my whole perspective on mom guilt. I know this is kind of off the track, but really listen, this is the same kind of idea here. Is somebody was trying to explain the idea of mom guilt. Oh, well, I just feel bad that I'm not with my kids because I'm at work, right? And this woman who lived in a third world country was like, I don't understand. You feel bad that you have the opportunity to provide for your children? I don't get that. I would love to have that opportunity. And it stuck with me so much. I just remember thinking, yes, I am so lucky that I get to have both and so do you. You have an opportunity and you have everything. You have the knowledge, you have the education. So why not? Why are you holding yourself back over some like perceived guilt or like some perceived judgment that somebody might put onto you? It's not fair to yourself. It's really just not fair to like entrepreneurs. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing your potential customers a disservice. So get yourself out there and be the advocate that your business needs. Okay. The other thing is like, I think there's an idea here that selling can only be done one way. Like there's only one strategy of how to sell. And whether that be like, sales calls or networking events or cold outreach or however you've been pitched to that this is the way you have to sell. And then you have it like a friction around that, or you can't move forward. Or I had a client the other day telling me like, she's like, I just had a full body. Like, no, that just doesn't feel right. The reality here is that there are dozens and dozens of different ways to sell. And you get to pick the ones that feel really good for you. And you get to do the ones that you really enjoy doing. For me, it's always been about one-on-one connection. For me, it's always been about relationships. And I think if you can start to really realize that business is just relationship building, it will help you with a lot of your limiting beliefs around selling. But for me, it's always been about connecting on that one-on-one level. And so when I go through my sales journey, when I have somebody, wanting to work with me, or I'm wanting to work with somebody else, it's all about connecting one on one. And that's why I really love doing one on one calls and sales calls. If you were sitting here and you're like, oh my gosh, I could never sit on a sales call, I could never do that, and you just don't see that being a way that feels good for you, then don't do it, right? But also, here's the caveat for that. Don't think and don't assume that, oh, I would be bad for it. Nope. If it makes you nervous, okay. But if it's like, you have to understand the difference between your intuition and like nerves. If your intuition is saying like no, then understand, okay, that's not the way to go. But if you're just a little nervous because you've never done it before, you got to give yourself the chance to try it. Who knows? You may really enjoy connecting on sales calls. You may really, really like it. But that's also not the only way to make a sale, right? There's dozens of different ways. So can you try new ways of selling until you are really comfortable with the way that you're selling? Okay, so there's a lot of different avenues and a lot of different ways to bring money into your business. And you get to play with it. You get to have fun with it. You get to say like, okay, I tried that. It's not for me. I'm going to try this different way. Now, the other thing is that some strategies they move the needle faster than others. Okay. So for instance, there's this wave of podcasting, and podcasting is certainly like a content creation type of selling. It's essentially just creating content, putting it out there, growing an audience, growing a community, and bringing people in because you've built this community through podcasting. It's the same as like blogging, or even just building a community on social media, whether it be TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. If you're just building a community because you're putting really good quality content out there, that is a way to ultimately sell, right? Behind the scenes, people are going to be, people are how do I work with you? How can I work with you more? It just happens that way. But the reality is that kind of community building, that kind of content creation type of selling, it takes longer than something like direct outreach or networking. Okay, so they're both really good quality ways of selling, but you have to understand, are you going to be creating good content, building a community that will ultimately turn into sales, or are you going to be doing the kind of more proactive networking, personal outreach kind of thing, or are you going to do both? Okay, and you can do any of it, right? You can do all of it or none of it or whatever. It's your choice, but there is a give and take with each of them. So for me, and this is my journey, this is my experience, but I'm just going to talk on that because I think it's really helpful to see how personal outreach and networking can really help you grow your business quickly. When I first quit my job, and you may or may not know the whole story of it, but when I first quit my job in January of 2019, I needed to replace my income immediately. Like, I quit my job cold turkey. I think I got like maybe a week or two worth of pay after I quit, but it was not long. I had a mortgage, I had just had a baby, and I had a toddler at home. My husband was finishing up school, so he was working part-time. Like, I needed to be making money. And so my primary focus was to bring in business as quickly as possible. And so for me, the quickest way to get there was to do personal outreach, to literally email people that were in my network, who were in my network's network, who I may have worked with 5 years ago, who I may have worked with 10 years ago, people my sister may have mentioned, like anybody and everybody. I was reaching out to them and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you need any of these services, I would love to talk, okay? I was going to networking events. I was putting my face in front of people. I was talking to people. And remember, this does not come naturally to me, but there was this kind of urgency that really drove me to get out there and be the advocate for my business. I knew I had to do that. Now, I know some people are like, that wouldn't work for me. The overwhelm would make me freeze, blah, blah, blah. And so when I coach people, and really take their own individual like experiences and like how much they're willing to stretch their nervous system into account, because some people would never be able to perform with that much pressure with them on them, and they would need more of a, okay, I have a 9 to 5, but I want to build a side hustle to ultimately get to a place. That would have not worked for me. So that's why I knew enough for myself that I had to quit cold turkey and just put myself in the pressure cooker, because that's how I ultimately was able to I replaced my money, my income within 3 months of quitting my job. I was bringing home the same amount of money that I had brought home at my 9 to 5 job within 3 months. And I did that because I was doing things like direct selling, like selling to people, meeting with people in person, emailing people, offering them things, like networking with my network, blah, 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 blah. And that's really, really why everything happened so quickly for me. I wasn't doing things like building a social media community. I wasn't doing things like blogging or podcasting or whatever, because I knew those types of strategies, as much as they are very, very lucrative, they were not going to be lucrative as quickly as this other strategy. And that is exactly why I did what I did. So for you, you have to know that about you. What do you want? Do you want something that can be fast, quick results? I need to see the money coming in. Or is it something where you can really sit back and say, I'm building something. It's very hard for me to say, I'm building something, I'm patient, I'm going to see where this goes, but I know every day if I make small steps, it's ultimately going to get there. It's up to you. And you can do both too, because over time, as I started to make more money, I knew that I had to have a more long-term strategy. So I did start building a Facebook community, an Instagram community, and I did start posting really quality content there. And now this year I have a podcast and things like that. So over time I started to add other elements into my marketing and sales. But that was something that I knew would take longer. And it wasn't for almost 2 years. 2 years it took me to get to a place where I was actually monetizing my content, monetizing my Instagram, monetizing my, other content. So it's really just, and that doesn't always, it's not across the board. It doesn't mean that it's going to take 2 years for you, but it will take longer than the other type of strategy. So there's a lot of resistance, I feel like, in today's social media world around the personal outreach. I think that, like, if I'm being honest, the MLM world has really put a bad taste in people's mouth about cold outreach and cold and direct messaging and that kind of thing. And here's my take on it all, is that they can't, MLMs and things like that can't co-opt a sales strategy. They've tried to, but they can't. And so I think that if we're doing the networking, if we're doing the cold outreach, if that's the strategy that we take with our business, you have to do it in a way that feels full of integrity with you. Okay? So, for instance, I put out a story the other day on my Instagram, and I was just like, I think people would be surprised at how much business comes my way from me just doing personal outreach. Okay? I think personal outreach, there's a difference also between personal outreach and cold calling and cold outreach. Cold outreach is purely you've never heard of me, I've never heard of you, and I'm pitching you something, okay? But personal outreach for me can be incredibly beneficial. And this is the strategy that I recommend to every single one of my clients. At the end of the day, personal outreach, the basis of it is relationship building. Okay, so I'm finding people, I'm doing a little bit of research on them, okay? I'm going to their Instagram, I'm going to people's websites. Oh, they're on my email list. What have they opened? What have they clicked on? I just want to know what they're interested in and how I might be able to help them. That is number one for me. If I feel like I can absolutely help somebody, then I reach out to them. Because as I made the point earlier, if I have a service that I know can help somebody and I don't offer it to them, or I don't at least tell them about it, then I'm doing them a disservice. And I truly believe that. Now, that's not, I don't start with a pitch, okay? And I allow people to talk. Selling is all about being a good listener. if you can listen, whether it be, in a DM conversation, an email conversation, or, in a conversation face to face or via Zoom or whatever, if you can listen to what people are saying and they explain their pain points or their struggles or like whatever, then you will know if you can help them or not. Okay? You can hear it, you can see it, you can even sometimes read about it in their Instagram. Stuff like that, okay? So when I reach out to people, first of all, I let them talk. How are you? How's business going? Tell me about what you're doing. And they do because they want to be heard. And you know what I do then is I offer them some advice. There's so many people out there saying, don't do it. Don't offer free coaching in the DMs, blah, 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 blah. Why? Why hell not? If I can help you, that's a win in my book. I don't need to make money off of you for me to feel like I can contribute to some of your success. And so we talk, I build a rapport with them. Okay? This is genuinely like me relationship building. I think where the sleaziness or the belief of people thinking this is sleazy is that you think that I go into this conversation with the intent of I'm going to sell something, okay? And I think we need to really unpack that. First of all, what's wrong with me trying to sell something? There's nothing wrong with anyone trying to sell anything. If they are doing it with integrity and they are doing it because they genuinely believe in their service or their product and they genuinely think that their service and product will ultimately help someone. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's something I really want you to just marinate. There's nothing wrong with selling. Okay? So what the intent of me going into building a conversation and a relationship with somebody around I want to help you. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Yes, there's a transaction involved. If you ultimately work with me, there will be a transaction involved. You pay me money, I give you a service. We both benefit. It's not like you're giving me money and then I'm just going to dip out, right? If you pay me money, I show up 100% and give you the service that was offered and provided for you. Okay? And same for you. If somebody pays you money, you're giving them a product or service back. It's mutually a beneficial thing. We give money more power in that situation because of our beliefs around money. But that's not necessarily the case. Money doesn't have more power than the service or product that you're offering. It's just it's completely perception. Okay? Money is neutral. Your service or your product is actually probably worth more than the money that is being you get what I'm saying. So stop putting these beliefs on money because that's stopping you from making the transaction. Okay? Let me know if any of this is resonating with you. Let me know in the comments if any of this is sitting with you because I want to know what else is coming up, what other beliefs are coming up or limiting beliefs or like just like, ooh, that really like hit me, or yeah, she says that, but it's not as easy as she makes it seem. Okay, so first of all, there's nothing wrong with selling. Secondly, my intent is not to just look at you like a dollar sign. My intent in opening up a dialogue with you is not to say, this could be somebody paying me money. My intent on opening a dialogue with you is to get to know you, to get to know your business, and get to know what you might want from life. Oh, and if I have the opportunity to say I have something that might help you, that is great. If you say, I'm great, I'm working with a coach, blah, 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 blah. Awesome. You think I'm going to just shut down that conversation because you say you're already working with a coach and I don't see a potential for a sale here? No, because I just genuinely want to connect with you. If you can have that in you, if you can have that integrity with you, then you will be blown away by the conversations and relationships that you meet or that you have with people that you meet when you start a conversation. I have met some of my some of my best friends who I used to coach, who are no longer in coaching containers, they haven't paid me in years, who I still talk to on a daily basis because we've built such great relationships, and there's no weird awkwardness because there was money like exchanged. It's just mutually beneficial. Oh, we totally undermine the value of our products and services. Totally. Okay, I'm glad that this is resonating with you. The other thing that I hear a lot from people is like there's a fear of judgment. So there's a fear of people, if I reach out to you, that the person that I reach out to is somehow going to be judgmental of my sales pitch or my whatever, my message, right? They're going to judge me for it. They're going to think that I'm salesy and sleazy, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if you think that, I can't change your mind on it, okay? If I ever popped into your DMs and you're like, oh, there's Erica selling again, like, yeah, what's wrong with that? But okay, and if it turns you off, okay, I can't change your mind on that. I can't change the way you feel about that. Maybe if you watched this training, I could shift your mindset a little bit, but that's not my concern, okay? What I like to do because you bet your ass, like I get people pitching me things all the time in the DMs or like whatever. When somebody pitches something to me, I admire it so much. When somebody tries to sell something to me, their service or product, I admire it so much. I respect the freaking hustle. I love it. I've even had clients pitch me their service as like when I was their coach. And first of all, think of the guts that takes. I was going to say balls, but like think about the guts that takes to pitch your own business coach your service. Oh my God, I respect the hustle so freaking much. So if you ever pitch me something, I'm going to answer you, right? I'm going to tell you, oh, this sounds great, I want to know more. Or I'm going to say, no, not right now, not interested. But I'm not going to ignore you, and I'm certainly not going to judge you for the fact that you're trying to sell your product or your service. I respect the hustle. And so can you get yourself to a place where when somebody pitches you or tries to open up a dialogue with you, that you can understand that they are just doing their damn job? Why is it okay for us to look at Pepsi and McDonald's and they're putting their image in front of us all day, every day, and we are just okay with it, and we swallow whatever, life goes on, right? We don't think twice about it. But if some woman who owns a business online sends you a DM or an email, we're like, ew. What? I'd rather give that woman my money than McDonald's or Pepsi. They have enough money, right? I respect the entrepreneur hustle so damn much. And you, as an entrepreneur, should respect that hustle just the same. I adopted this mindset pretty early on in my entrepreneurial journey, because whenever I would go to meetups and networking events with other entrepreneurs, it was so natural for everybody to just be talking about their business, to be talking about their service, to be pitching themselves, to be handing out business cards, to be talking about it, right? Other entrepreneurs respect other entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur I've ever been around respects the frickin' hustle. They know what it takes. They know what it takes mentally. They know what it takes emotionally, physically. They get it. And so the most supportive people in my world are other entrepreneurs because they understand the hustle. I understand the hustle. I get it. And so stop judging other people for doing their damn job. This is exactly what they should be doing, is reaching out to people who fit their ideal person to work with and say, I have something that could probably help you. Sounds pretty simple, for me to support. Okay. So if you next time you get somebody reaching out to you or pitching something to you or whatever, instead of automatically like, yuck, that's getting a yucky feeling, or ignoring them or blocking them or deleting the message, try just saying no thank you if you're not interested. This brings me to my next point. The no, the rejection. So many people don't want to sell because they're scared of the rejection. There's so many layers to this, but what I'm going to start with is a reminder to yourself that your service or your product that you're selling is not a reflection of you. Okay? So if somebody says, no, I don't want to work with a business, or I don't want to work with you right now, okay. Like, that's fine. They're not in a place where they want a business coach. Maybe I'm not a good person to be their business coach. I've gotten to a place where you have to put space between those feelings. Okay. So remind yourself every time that you put out a pitch, or you're trying to close a deal or whatever it is, when you're selling, the rejection and the acceptance. If somebody accepts the offer, neither one of them has any meaning of the worthiness of who you are as a human being. It is not a personal rejection. It is not them personally accepting you. It is just a yes or a no. Okay? And if it's a no, it's gonna sting. It's gonna sting, especially those first couple of times. But guess what? That first yes that you get will overshadow a million no's. There is something about that first yes that will just keep you motivated. It's like a drug. It'll just keep you searching for the next yes and the next yes and the next yes. It's such a healthy way to fuel that addiction, okay? Just keep putting yourself out there. The no's will come, and there will be far more no's than there will be yes. But you don't need a million yeses. You just need a few, and then you'll need a few more, and you need a few more. But separate yourself from those feelings. This has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you as a business owner, a coach, a salesperson, whatever you do. You're not bad because you get told no. You're not bad. That is something else that I would repeat to myself every single day. Every single day, I would tell myself, it's just a no. It's just a no. That's just a no. Yeah, the no's get us closer to the yeses. There's a story that I heard, and I tell it a lot, but it's so powerful that this one salesperson, he was getting really down. He was getting a lot of no's. So he did some math, and he realized, okay, it took him, for every yes he got 25 no's. And so what he would do is he would go out there and pitch something, and he'd get a no, and he would celebrate it. And he would, all right, 24 more no's until I get that yes. And he would keep going. Okay, I got 8 no's, 9 no's. Every time he would celebrate it, knowing that it got him closer to that yes. So can you get to a place where you can celebrate every time you get told no? Because that is the energy I want you to have. Okay? Now, I want to do a little bit of, I like to talk to people on an individual basis around their sales strategies, because I don't think that there's an overarching kind of strategy for every single person. So I think going out there and telling people, this is how you sell on Instagram, or this is how you sell on blah, 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 can be a little bit, it can drive people in the wrong way. For instance, if I told you, like, this is how I sell on Instagram, and then you just did that and it didn't work for you, you may take that as I'm doing something wrong, right? And I don't want that to like stall your progress. I don't want that to like inhibit you from selling in a different way. I don't want that to even like affect your self-worth. So I hesitate to just say like across the board, this is what you should be doing. But take just to preface this. When it comes to social media, can you look at social media as an extension from your everyday life? Okay? This is what I mean. 20, 30 years ago, before social media existed, before email existed, okay? People were doing business in a very different way. Now, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to business. I grew up watching my dad literally like not spend a single penny on marketing, and every single dollar that he ever made came from personal relationships. So, for me, I find that to be the most valuable way to do business, okay? That is exactly how you should be utilizing your social media, okay? You should be building relationships with people on and through social media just like you would be outside of it 30 years ago. The benefit to social media nowadays is that, excuse me, is that now we can reach farther. We're not just stuck in our own like little region of the geographic country. We get to touch people all across the world. That is super awesome. We just have to bring those old traditional kind of relationship building networking strategies from years ago into our social media world, okay? It's not about making reels, or it's not about like how often you put content out there. It's not about beating the algorithm. It's not about any of that. It's about being social and building relationships. If you have the best content in the world, but nobody knows you exist, you're not going to make any money. Okay? It's not about great content. It's about building relationships. It's about getting your message out there. It's about asking questions and utilizing other people's communities and getting in front of other people and all of the things, okay? Doing collaborations. Taking those things offline are 10 times as valuable. So, your challenge for the next few days, weeks, whatever. Can you find opportunities offline? Because I feel like with the online business world, we've swung the pendulum far too much to the side where we're like, well, I'm on Instagram and I put a link in my story, so everybody should purchase it. It's not how the world works, okay? So let's bring it back a little bit. Let's bring it back to old school, traditional marketing and sales. Are there opportunities in your community, in wherever, where you can get in front of people and just get your face out there? Are there networking events, meetups? Are there ways that you can connect with somebody over coffee? Are there stores that you frequent that you potentially could help in some way with your service or your product? I would love for you to get that face-to-face interaction, because when we swing too far to the online space, we tend to do things like, well, I posted, that's enough. And it's not. It's not enough. It's posting and DMing and commenting and liking and sharing and collaborating. There's so much more. So bringing those things into the real world can really help you build a brand and build a community of people that will help support you. The other thing about this whole relationship building thing that I've kind of like missed, but I really want to drive home here at the end, is that maybe you build a relationship with somebody that has literally, they're not your person. They're not going to buy from you, okay? Whenever I tell people, I'm like, you have a natural network of people. You have your parents, your sisters, your brothers, your aunts, your uncles, your friends, blah, 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 your coworkers, and they're like, they're not my ideal audience. That does not and should not matter. They may know somebody who could benefit from your service, okay? I say this to people all the time. When I was first starting out and I was doing social media work for people, I would tell everybody, my OBGYN, the grocery store clerk, blah, 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 blah. I would tell everybody what I was doing. And I wasn't looking at them like, oh, this is going to be, no, what I was looking at them is spread the word. Spread the word. oh, because I looked at everybody as you could potentially be my next client or you could know my next client. Start adopting that mindset. Get excited about spreading the word for your business because you're the only one advocating for it. All right, I have a couple minutes here at the end. If there's anybody with any questions or comments or anything that you want me to address, if there's any kind of individualized approach that you would like me to like answer a question about, please feel free. If it's something that you would rather do offline in like the DMs, you can do that too. But I'm here to help. I think that the one thing I really want you to understand is that selling is something that you should be doing, and like is not bad. There's nothing wrong with you selling, okay? The Girl Scouts are out there hustling their cookies every time, and we're like, oh, that's so cute, right? But we automatically judge ourselves for wanting to sell a service or a product. Why? Why? What are the stories you're telling yourself about selling, and why? And how can you rewrite that story so that you can get really excited about the sales process? Because that's really ultimately what you are. You're a salesperson. Before you're a coach, before you sell a product, before you whatever, you are a salesperson first and foremost. And so you have to have a good relationship with that part of your business. Okay? All right, so I don't see any questions, so I'm going to sign off. And if you have anything, please feel free to reach out to me in any way. DMs, email, whatever. I'm here for you. And keep an eye out for the next free training. All right, I love you all. I'll see you later.